This week on Rockstar Superhero. So, here's a twist. Tom and Seth from Weston Super Maim and yours truly has struck up an interesting new friendship, seemingly out of the blue. I can't tell you why, but these two guys are just what my heart and ears needed when I probably didn't think I did. How does that happen when two completely different guys on two different continents jive with weird me? Well, it happened. Tom and Seth have created a wild, dissonant EP of power and chaos. They've taken the very best parts of their influences and injected them into the very soul of the music. It's heavy, it's funny, it's weird, wild, punchy, and downright hilarious in its over-the-top grandeur. It's everything and nothing all at the same time, and the beauty of that, well, it's exactly what they were shooting for. You might not like it, and that's perfect. So here's the other part. We tried to do this interview a few different times, and no matter what, we had connection issues. So I just decided it's best to roll with it, and what we have is what we have, so you'll have to excuse the edits in advance. Sometimes God is just against us. So as I said before, I love these guys. I really think we'll be friends for life. Just great guys hanging out on a show about nothing. With that, please enjoy my wildly erratic conversation with my two new friends, Tom and Seth, from the metal powerhouse, Weston Super Maim, on the Rockstar Superhero Podcast.
Thanks for being back, man. It's great to see you guys. It's great. You guys are so cool. And you know what's interesting? You might have felt the same way. I hope you did. But when we connected the first time a couple weeks back, there was some cool brotherly love thing going on that I haven't experienced in a really long time. And it was real. Like, it was like we were instant buddies, which is just crazy and weird. So maybe that explains why you two are such a great unit. You know what I mean?
It's the way
it's a definite bromance. It's a definite bromance, you know.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Like it's I wore a cool other shirt. I don't have the same cool shirt on last time.
Oh shit, what is that?
It's a Twin Peaks thing.
Love it.
Oh yeah.
So all right.
Great show.
We're back.
Great show.
So here's my first question for you guys, because I think this is a fair question. So from everything I can tell, Tom, you've created pretty much the heaviest thing I've heard in a really long time. I mean, full-on guitars, brutality, the bass and the drums are epic and powerful. Everything's crunchy and monstrous. And Seth comes in and really makes it his own, you know what I mean? But what I want to know, the first question for the day is how did this sonic marriage come about?
That's Tom.
That's me. So yeah, I got an early draft of this song done, and obviously it needed vocals. So I just kind of, trying to find someone, just looking in random places. And then I saw a Meshuggah cover. We're both a member of a Meshuggah forum, which I think Seth explained last time is shit posting. It's nothing to do with Meshuggah, 90% of the time. Seth had posted this cover of, I think it's Straws Pulled at Random.
Yeah.
And I just thought this is a guy who is he had all the technical chops. He was like nailing every bit of it, but it was completely his own voice, and he was completely doing his own thing with it as well. So I just immediately thought, this guy would be amazing. So I sent him a message on Facebook, and he said, yeah, send me the song. And then the rest is history in a way. Maybe Seth, you can explain.
Yeah. When he sent me the song, it was one of those things where, like, I've had people send me songs before, and they're like, "Hey, check this out," or "Hey, I heard your vocals on this. You want to sing for this Tech Death album, or whatever." And they're good. I'm such a nice guy, though. I have a hard time telling people like, "It's not my thing, man," or not. Yeah, just not feeling it. I have a hard time doing that. But so Tom sent me the song, and I didn't know Tom at all.
Yeah.
And so I told my wife, like, hey, I'm going to go outside, smoke a couple cigarettes, listen to this. This guy sent me a 15-minute song.
Yeah.
And so I'm like sitting outside, and I got my good headphones on, my studio headphones, and I was just taken back. Like, I mean, just the intensity of it all. And I actually, the first time listening to it, it took me on this journey, man. I'm a visual listener when it comes to music, you know. I listen to a lot of instrumental music, and I visualize something while I listen to it, you know.
Right.
And so when I first heard it, I visualized the whole concept of this album on first listen, you know. And by the end, you know, just a couple of those buildups towards the end, you know, I was in tears, man. I'm an emotional little pussy. Like, I'm not like this hardcore dude that, you know, I know I look all crazy, but when it comes to music, man, I get emotional easily. And I mean, not easily, I wouldn't say easily, but it happens from time to time.
Yeah.
And I hit him back and was like, what the fuck? I think you just created my favorite song, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was immediately on board. And from there, it was, you know, I let him know, like, man, I heard this and I saw this whole concept of this thing. And it was so funny because it it translated perfectly into what Tom had named the song, you know?
Yeah.
And I think if you listen to the song instrumentally, you would get the same concept out of it. You get the same meaning out of it, you know? Yeah. It translates that well. So, yeah. But yeah, like Tom said, after that, it was just history, man.
Yeah. It's interesting how that works. You can tell that you guys are supposed to be together because Tom wrote this piece, 180 Degree Murder, right? That's the name of the song, if I correct. And it clearly has a vibe of that. Those three words explain sort of the rhythm and the power of the song. But then Seth comes in and completely upends the whole piece, and it turns out it's still the same thing. You know what I mean? Like it's a radical thing. What does the name mean to you, Tom? What does it mean? How did you come up with that title?
I think it's like a lot of my song titles are like wordplay or puns or kind of things that I think are funny, but then, you know, it might have a double meaning or it might have some kind of interesting ambiguity or something. So I think like for this one, it was like, yeah, I guess it kind of makes sense and it kind of doesn't. So it has this idea of maybe things being turned inwards to an extent, like a kind of destructive impulse, I suppose, being turned inwards. But then also it has that weird thing where you can't quite apply degrees in terms of geometry to, you know, to murder, for example. Yeah. So it just sort of made me laugh because it's stupid, but it also feels right for the song. So yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Seth? I mean, you know, when you heard it, what was the impetus? What was the inspiration to say these are the words I want to put to it?
It was well, I mean, the first half is obviously super intense brutality, just chop your fucking balls off brutality. And so for me, it was I just envisioned, you know, this guy taking on all the ugliness of the world, like all of the negativity, all the shit stuff we have to deal with. I mean, all of it, just kind of taking it in and like vomiting and, you know, just this chaotic, ingesting the filth of the earth, you know?
Oh yeah.
And like eating it, you know, everything. And then ultimately becoming the weapon that ends all of humanity, you know?
Yeah.
And then finishing the job himself at the end to finish the job, you know,
so
to start over. But the title worked out. So he told me the title after I had already spit out this whole concept.
What?
Him. Yeah. So he didn't tell me the title of the song until probably like a few weeks after he sent it to me, and we'd already discussed the concept. And so to me, when he told me that, I'm like, are you serious, dude? And he had it that for a while, but so I saw it as like 180-degree murder onto your, so it worked, you know, just ending all of humanity and then pulling that 180, flipping that bitch and ending it yourself. So just a clean start, but there's more to it than that, you know. It's definitely a conceptual thing, and I think the music plays it more than the lyrics, you know.
Yeah.
I think it's really, sorry, Rob, it's really a combination. It's just that thing of, you know, we keep sort of having these weird coincidences where maybe I've thought of something, and you know, I've thought that, oh, this is so obvious, but obviously I haven't actually told Seth, but then he's already on the same page, and then it's like, oh yeah, by the way, this concept that you've thought of independently is basically already what the song's called and the kind of things I had in mind. So, you know, it's working very nicely.
Yeah, it proves actually that this was supposed to happen, right? It proves
absolutely,
because you felt it in your DNA, right, Seth?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And just the relationship that Tom and I have built, you know, over this past year, you know, putting this together. Tom having to get on my ass, be like, "Come on, man, I need some stuff to work with," because I procrastinate, man. I'm not this vocalist that carries around a fucking book and jots down poems and lyrics all the time. That's not me. It takes me a lot to get off my ass, go start putting down lyrics and stuff. So it worked. It worked out pretty well, man. I can honestly say it's probably one of my favorite songs of all time, you know?
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's interesting when I saw the album come through from, you know, promotions, I hadn't listened to it yet. I saw the title. And before I even listened to it, my brain said, oh, this song's about war. It seems to me when I heard this, right, when I read this, I said, wow, 180-degree murder. And it was like war and weaponry coming at me from all sides. And it just felt like this big peripheral violent thing, you know, and I was envisioning myself as the one being murdered, that it was coming at me from 180 degrees and that there was no escape. And it's so interesting that Seth's coming up with this sort of apocalyptic concept. And what I really love about this, and it shows your wisdom, Tom, is you didn't park Seth with any ideas. You just said, interpret this, and he clearly came through with exactly what it was supposed to be. So absolutely. Kudos, man. It's so smart.
Well, I mean, even after one listen, Seth was just immediately saying, I've got this concept. So, you know, there didn't need to be any thought about anything really. It just happened, and it was the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, man, it's awesome, man. Because we have to pretend like we've never asked these questions of you before. Everybody's gonna be like, what the fuck are you talking about? What does Weston Super Maim mean? Because, you know, I think I asked you last time, you know, I know there's that seaside town on the west coast of the UK, you know,
yeah,
Weston Super Maim, and I was sure that was sort of a play on those words. But what does it mean to you? Where did you come up with it?
Yeah, it is a play on those words in a way, but it's me and my friends back in the day just used to think of stupid band names all the time, and that was the stupidest. And it was also, we just found it like hilarious. And even before the band existed, it was, this has got to be the heaviest band that we can do. It's just got to be the heaviest music. So it's just like, it's the same thing with 180-degree murder. It's like there's a play on words, and it sort of has a meaning and it sort of doesn't, but it kind of has this ambiguous kind of, well, what, like if you maim someone, can you like super maim them? Can you like take it to the next level? Like, does it make sense? Not really, but sort of, or it alludes to something beyond, I guess, which is kind of that what I try to do and what it means to me, I think.
Yeah. No. Well, the logo on its own is so heavy. Like there's something about it that looks weighty. Like like if you dropped the logo from the top of the Empire State Building, it would like go right through the road down below. It would just crush everything on the way down. There's something really chunky about it. You know what I mean?
It's the fattest font that I could find.
Yeah. That's pretty clear. If anybody's seen it, I'll make sure I post it with everything else.
Thank you.
Where does this approach to melody come from? You know, what were your influence? Excuse me. Let me say it again. This is going to be the most hilarious thing to listen to. People are going to be like, "Listen to these three fucking amateurs. They can't do shit." Yeah. How did growing up influence you as a songwriter, Tom? Let's start there, and we'll ask Seth how it hits him too.
Sure. Yeah. So I guess like when I was 15 or something, it was all grunge, like Nirvana, Pixies, Weezer, Soundgarden. Like I was just obsessed with that kind of sound for ages. Like I wanted to be Kurt Cobain for several years. And then gradually, I guess Helmet was maybe the crossover band for me. It's like still that kind of alternative rock thing, but then with the weird time signatures and sort of staccato rhythms and I guess slightly, it's not exactly metal, but it kind of is as well. And so then that just sort of set me off on a path of I guess always part of me was trying to find the heaviest thing that I could find. So that was at one point it was like Sepultura, Fear Factory, then I guess it was maybe grindcore bands like Pig Destroyer, and then death metal, tech death. But there's always been this kind of, I guess the melodic side to things as well. So like, I still love melodic music now, or like new metal bands, for example, like Korn, Deftones, Limp Bizkit, love all that shit.
Yeah.
So now I guess it's still I'm probably mainly listen to metal, but I do listen to other genres, and as you can probably tell, I still love melody as well as heavy stuff.
Yeah. How about you, Seth?
Oh man, I started young. I think I was in the first grade. I saw the video for It by Faith No More.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, that's great stuff, man. Yeah.
So for Christmas, I saw that dead fish flopping at the end with the piano.
Christmas,
and I was like, I want that tape for Christmas. So my dad got me that and Led Zeppelin 4 for Christmas that year. So from there, man, I lucked out, moved out of state, and I lucked out. I had this neighbor kid. I was in the second grade. I had this neighbor kid that lived upstairs from me. That was like fifth grade, and he asked me one day what kind of music I listened to, and I was like, I listen to Faith No More. That's all I listen to.
Wow.
And so he brought me Iron Maiden, Somewhere in Time.
Yeah.
The best Maiden album. Well, I don't know, Seventh Son. Never mind. We won't talk about that. But from there, I just moved into thrash metal, man. It was Metallica. Was huge. I got a hold of, I would just save up my allowance I get $8 a week allowance, and I'd go to Music Land in the mall and just search for tapes. I'd ask the worker there, like, hey, I need like the best heavy metal. And so they directed me to like, well, check out Armored Saint, check out Motorhead. And just from there, man, by the time I think it was in the fifth grade, I switched over to punk and listened to a bunch of the old school punk, and then Minor Threat, Black Flag,
there you go,
FYP, Old Bad Religion, old stuff, and then I went back, and then I discovered Fear Factory, Demanufacture. I remember it was the day after I lost my virginity. I know it's young, like 13. Like,
oh my God, dude!
I know, dude. I know.
Breaking news, everyone.
right. But I went to the mall afterwards, and I was just like high on life, like I just got laid.
Oh my God!
And went to the mall, and I heard Fear Factory. I think it was Zero Signal, and that just sent me right into metal again. And then just like Tom said, man, new metal came out. I was the huge Limp Bizkit, Deftones, Korn, Tool, that whole era. then obviously I saw Slipknot in '99, Ozfest '99, and it was before their album even came out. All they had was the Wait and Bleed single out on like college radio and shit. And I just became, big into Slipknot, Mudvayne. So those are my early influences. Now I just pull from everything, man. I listen to Bjork. I listen to, retro synthwave. I listen to anything that sounds good. I think especially with us metalheads, I think a lot of us, no matter how hardcore we are, we still gravitate. We still need that melody sometimes that Tom was talking about, man. We still need that beauty, and that feel good, because it's a very important part.
Yeah. I mean,
sorry, I kind of went off there.
No,
music for years.
It's fantastic. I love it. Yeah. I mean, I just wanted to say, to me, music in general, I mean, at least for the most part, I'm not a big fan of country or rap as two examples, but I think there's a time and a place for everything, right? I mean, heck, when I'm hanging out with my kids, we'll listen to freaking Japanese noisecore, right? Yeah. But then the next time we'll turn around and we'll listen to ABBA. So it's all, I want my kids, right? I want everybody I know. I mean, I think things I pride myself on with my show is, check this out. Try this new thing, right? Taste this. It's a morsel. It's delicious. This one will mess you up. This one will light you up, right? And I think having that big musical palette is essential to like growing old well, And I mean, I'm 54, almost 55 years old, and I love heavy, like brutal heavy music. But I don't want to listen to it all the time. So I think what I appreciate about you guys is, besides the dog, which is hilarious, that's another thing.
Shit.
No, Seth, it's cool. I'm telling you, man, I'm just gonna tell everybody that this is the greatest like free flow podcast I've ever done, man. Just hanging out with two of my buddies. Whatever the hell happens is cool, man. It's
two guys, one dog. Yeah.
It's all good.
Right.
Nice.
Guys, one dog.
No cups. No cups.
Yeah,
no cups.
No cups. Half the world doesn't know what we're talking about, which is probably for the best.
This is probably a good
the way
thing.
it should be. Yeah.
So Tom, let me ask you this. I'm a drummer. Do you actually play the drums, or is that all programmed? Because that's like legit stuff.
It is programmed. So I do play the drums, but just kind of some of the bits are beyond my ability, honestly. But then also just the logistics of living in a small flat in London means that it's just not possible. So I try to program the drums as I will play them, basically. So I have a little pad thing behind me, which I'll like sort of tap bits. Sometimes play bits with my fingers, and sometimes it's just it's mouse clicks. But I definitely try to keep them sort of realistic. So it might be pushing my ability to play that kind of thing, but they're programmed, as I will play them.
Yeah. No, I love it. It felt real, which is why I'm saying it. I didn't know how much, if it was synthetic, if there was a lot of quantizing going on, if you wanted it to have a very natural feel, because it really feels human. And I was just, either way, I want to say kudos, because the performance of the piece really stands out to me because the drums are human sounding. They're super brutal, and it's those are quote unquote difficult passages to play, but nothing so extreme. It's not Ziltoid the Omniscient, with 64th notes at 300 beats a minute. You know what I mean? Where nobody can play it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. No, definitely. It's like I guess it probably is quantized quite hard actually, but that wasn't necessarily an intentional thing, and I do want it to sound human, but I got it to a point where it was quite quantized, but it just sounds natural to me. And I guess it's that, I'm not there's not too much. It is intricate in a way, but there's not really, it's not that virtuoso sort of drum performance. It's more, when I used to play the drums, I'd just be fucking smashing the drums as hard as I could a lot of the time. Yeah. So I wanted to sort of convey roughly that's how I would do it, just like hit hard, but then keep it slightly techie as well.
I love that you both have answered the way you've answered, and here's why. Because when I first heard this, I wrote this question down, and I'm going to read it off my paper here because I don't remember how I worded it. But it's interesting that you mentioned the people you mentioned, because I said, I feel like Mike Patton was an influence on Seth's voice. And I feel like Peterson and Devin Townsend are an influence on Tom. And I think that's why I like it so much. Have you ever heard this piece called Bugs, Bugz, by Pete Peterson?
I don't know who Pete Peterson is.
It's like lights out. Like you guys will love it. It's Bugz. For any listener out there, Travis Orban is a drummer from the Baltimore area. And Tom knows.
Orban.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So Pete wrote this piece in sort of this weird, I don't even know how to explain it, but he basically took the planetary cycles and the way the orbits work, the timing of the orbits, and wrote a piece around the planetary cycle orbits, called it Bugs, and then had Travis play this impossibly complex piece that took him months to learn and do it in one take, and he couldn't do it. He had to do it like in 9 takes or something because there were so many, intricacies. But the point being is that when I heard that piece, your piece, it reminded me of that. And to me, in the progressive metal extreme space, that is one of those epic landmarks that anybody who knows about it is pursuing. So even though you don't know about it, Tom, now you do. I encourage you guys to check it out because it has holy shit written all over it. And
oh wow.
Yeah, the reason I love your stuff is because it takes the Bugs feel and it pulls it back a little bit and makes it a little more accessible, but it has that same extreme virtuosity to it, right? So there's the feeling and the intensity, but it's like Bugs with Mike Patton. So kudos, big claps for you guys.
Thank you so much, man. Thank
Claps
you.
for Tom. Yeah,
That's freaking rad, man.
You too, brother.
Yeah. I know I'm talking a lot, so let me ask Seth a question now.
Oh shit.
Yeah, well, you came from PDP.
Yeah.
So give me a little background on that. Like why the crazy SoCal punk scene thing?
Well, it was punk, thrash, progressive, extreme metal.
Right.
I was living down in just north of LA in California, working down there. I just moved to this town, and I kind of ran into this dude at the gym, and I was wearing like a Between the Buried and Me shirt. He was like, "Oh shit, like, do you do vocals?" And I was like, "Actually, I do."
Yeah,
and so I went practiced with him. Played a few shows with them in this hardcore band, like a hardcore band, and then through them, I met a couple dudes that graduated from MI in Hollywood that were doing Meshuggah covers. Yeah, and they were brothers. It was just drummer and guitar player, the Seguin brothers, Josh Seguin, Stefan Seguin, and I had mentioned to them like, "Hey man, I'd love to come do some Meshuggah covers with you guys." And so we did, and we formed this band called Morsel, and we just played like an hour set of Meshuggah songs, but we like nailed it, man. These guys were geniuses.
Nice.
And through them, we kind of started getting weird things on YouTube. Like people were like viewing our live sets on YouTube and stuff. And I got hit up by Greg Harrison of PDP, the founder, fucking guitar virtuoso, just like insane. He was the shred guitar instructor at MI and had students like Wes Hauk, Wes Thrailkill. I mean, all these like now virtuoso, famous guitar players that he taught. And he hit me up and was like, "Hey, we need a singer. I'm going to send you this song, record to it. And, if you want to audition." And I was like, "Oh shit." So I did and recorded this awesome song. Like it turned out pretty cool. We never released it. It was going to be on a separate new album of PDP's, but the band kind of fell apart after this tour. And then, but I had just joined and we needed another guitar player, a bass player, and a drummer. So I just brought my More Sugar guys in who were students, who ended up being students of Greg's at MI.
Wow.
So they already knew each other. And we had a tour coming up in like 3 months, like a national tour. And so we all had to learn all the songs, man, and just head out on the road. But after that, we played a Summer Slaughter tour date and a bunch of local shows in Hollywood. And then I actually, I kind of quit because I got full custody of my son. So in doing so, I moved back to Fresno because I didn't want to pull him away from, all of his family and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
and kudos to you too for being the great dad that said, I got to pick my boy over right now I got to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was weird timing because after that, I got hit up, man, by Veil of Maya was needing a singer.
Are you kidding me? Veil of Maya?
Veil of Maya had gotten rid of their singer. He quit. And I got hit up by them to go do that. And that was right before Knotfest when they were playing Knotfest. I think it was 2013 or early 2014.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, I'll join. But I'm not going to be able to go on tour. I won't be a pro. I'll come do your run of Knotfest with you. And they're like, no, it's not. It's a PR thing.
Yeah,
we want someone permanent. We can't switch singers twice, in a few months. But yeah, after that, man, I had to focus on my son. I couldn't do any more tours. And yeah, I ended up moving up to Oregon, took a job up here. And we had 5 songs that we wanted to record. We were going to do an EP, and I was like, man, let's get 3 more songs in there and just do a full length. So I recorded for the newest PDP album, The Arcane Ascent, in 2018. We released it. I recorded that from up here in Oregon.
Yeah.
All the vocals, and did that. And then after that, man, we're all kind of out of state. So pursuing it as a professional, there's no money in our extreme metal genre. Nobody's going to get rich. I now have 3 kids, and I just bought a house. I got bills to pay and shit.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
Going on tour, even with the PDP thing, that was, I paid $1,200 out of my pocket to go do a 30-day tour.
Yeah.
And that was making 500 guarantees a night.
Yeah. No, I get you, man. I have some buddies, in the UK that Tom definitely knows these people, and probably personal. I'm not going to name the names, but one of them has released 9 albums, and he's still just making ends meet, doing the day job thing. And most people don't understand that this is how it is, man. The whole sex, drugs, rock and roll thing of the 70s, when it's almost like the 3 network idea. Back in the 70s, there was, in America, there was 3 television networks. In the UK, there was BBC. And that was pretty much it, maybe BBC Two, right? And so what's happened is the world has expanded, but because everything has expanded, everything has thinned out, and there's so many genres and subgenres. This is obviously an extreme music subgenre thing we're talking about today. There's no money in this. It's all about the art. And so that actually bears into the next question. Not so much what are your quote unquote day jobs, but are you guys available to work with other projects? Do you just keep this Weston Super Maim? Are you doing session work for others? Do you mind sharing a little bit of that, Tom?
Sure. Yeah. So, I have a couple of other just personal projects, I guess, which is between Weston Super Maim and my other projects, and working on bits and pieces with friends and stuff. Then that's everything that I have time for, and I don't have time to do as much as I want to do anyway. So for me, this stuff, Weston Super Maim, this is what I would do even if no one else was listening to it. That this is just what I'm driven 100% to do, and what I have to do basically to feel happy. So it's just something that I would do. And I wish that I didn't have to do my proper job. I wish that I could do music all the time, but as we all know, there's no there's no money in it, and there's not enough hours in the day anyway. So I mean, I think working with Seth has been, just so absolutely amazing that's my collaborative urge fulfilled largely anyway. So, I'm probably, I'm full of music, which is nice.
Yeah. How about you, Seth?
Yeah, there's like a couple things that, God, I hope no one's listening to this. Wait
a minute. Let me just say this. This is my show. Everybody's listening.
Everyone's listening. Oh no, there's a lot, man. I know how many followers you got, man, and had on your last streaming service or podcast service. So no, there's a couple things that I'm supposed to be doing right now, but I don't have the drive. I
got you.
I don't have the drive for it. What Tom's doing and how we work together, that's my main deal. It's just, that's more me than anything, just a more, what I want to do musically and stuff is, I can't think of any, like I'm supposed to do a couple of covers and stuff with people. I'm just done with the covers. I'm just not feeling it. I think I'm to the point now where it's like, man, those originals, like, I don't want to change the original. I think the original's great. Leave it at that. Like, I'm good. But working with Tom, like the way we worked, because he helped me out with some vocal patterns and stuff, just some of those time signatures in this song, like I'd be like, man, I'm having a tough time with this one. He's like, yeah, that one's in 13. Like that one's a bitch. And it's like 13 alternating to like 7 back to 13. Like, it's just ridiculous. And,
thanks, Tom.
And so, thank you, Tom. But we worked together. We worked together and were able to come up with the patterns with it. He helped out with some lyrics, like some of my favorite lyrics in the song were just from him. And him being like, I don't know if you know this, but Tom also does greeting cards. And they're funny as shit. And it's awesome. So he's a clever dude with his words. And some of there's a couple passages in the song that are my absolute favorite part were Tom's stuff. So I think we complement each other. Pretty well, Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Can I just say the bits that Seth's talking about, these nightmare passages where he would be like, oh, bro, like, I have no idea what to do for this section. I had no fucking idea either. So it was like, we were both just like, fuck, like, what can we possibly do here? But we got there in the end.
Yeah. You sort of wrote yourself into a corner, right?
Basically.
Yeah, and there were parts, too, that I struggled with because I love the song so much instrumentally, and I love all of the parts so much. I didn't want to take away from the music or, like, I didn't want to take away from a certain snare pattern that he had. There was parts I didn't want to sing on because I wanted to hear all of the stuff going on. I wanted to hear it all going on.
Yeah. So, yeah. I got a new phrase to teach you and to our listeners. So about 30 years ago, I was, it's a long story, but I was playing with this producer on the East Coast. And he said the words to me, whatever you do, man, listen to the piece of music and don't step on my chicken. And I didn't know what the hell that meant. Don't step on my chicken. Like, what does that mean? And eventually, he never explained it to me, but eventually I figured out what he's basically saying is don't step on my dick. Don't step, don't step on my, cock, basically, right? My chicken. It was just this nice way of saying it out loud. But his whole thing was what you were just talking about, which is the idea of the snare parts, right? If Tom has put this piece together and it has this very specific moment, it's your job to let it breathe. Right. And to sing around it. So kudos for the musical wisdom, man.
Yeah. I also got to say cock in the song too. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Essential.
So much sex and death in this piece, man. I just don't understand.
Mainly sex.
Yeah. So look, here's the reality. Is this something that you can ever do live? Is this a piece that you're planning on doing live together?
I don't. We've never really thought about doing it. I think probably technically for me it would be very difficult to do live. So I think I was always approaching it as this is a recording thing. So I think if I'd approached it as a live piece, I would have tweaked things and I've made it a bit more playable. So probably, I don't know what you think, Seth, but for me, it's not a live, probably not viable to do live. The fact that there's an ocean between us as well.
There is a big ass ocean between us, man. Which sucks, but it's kind of like Meshuggah Eye, it's something they'll never do live. They said it's just kind of not. I think it is possible for them,
of course,
just because they're wizards. And me and the Meshuggah guys actually learned it and played it live as a 3-piece. We played it in a practice session, and I got a shit recording of it. But we did half of it. We didn't get, but it took us 6 months to get through half of it. Just where we all three kind of nailed it.
Right.
So we did get through half of it as a 3-piece. Like I was playing guitar leads and doing vocals, and just another guitar player and a drummer. But so I think Meshuggah could do it. But this is kind of one of those Meshuggah Eye situations, man, where it's I don't know if they're we'd have to get a really solid drummer on board, man. And drummers are hard to find. It would be a dream. Like Tom said, man, we never talked about it. But it would be a fucking dream. I would buy a plane ticket over to London in a heartbeat if we ever got booked on a festival out there or something. It wouldn't be something we'd be able to go tour, No. But it would be like a one-time deal festival thing. I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, can you imagine, like, you're a download or I don't know, it doesn't matter. Any heavy turn, like a Hellfest, right? Yeah. And open the show with this 15-minute piece of music, and you have all the great players from other bands do it with you. See, I think that's how you could pull it out. You could get somebody from Meshuggah, somebody from Car Bomb, right? Yeah. And open the show as this quartet or this, quintet, whatever, but of just these killer musicians, because you guys are killer musicians.
We'll get Elliot Hoffman from Car Bomb. He's awesome.
And
then
Tomas.
We'll get
Tomas. You have to have Tomas.
Two drummers,
or Tomas. Yep. We'll get we'll get Dick Lovegren from Meshuggah on bass,
Yeah, definitely.
And just bang it out. Yeah. That would be wild.
So see, it's possible. Now you just got to work on it, Tom. Make it happen, man. Make it happen.
I'll look into it.
Okay. So I know we don't have a lot more time, but let me ask you this before I get to my final questions. What's currently curling your hair at the moment? I mean, Seth doesn't have a lot of hair to curl, but what are you listening to right now? What's changing your landscape?
For me, probably the new Alluvial album is amazing. Like, I didn't really know Wes Hauck's playing. I didn't know him at all, really. But Seth mentioned him a little while back, and I was like, oh, who is this guy? And then when they dropped like the first single, he's just like, we were talking about this the other day. He's just so original. Like, you don't hear that often in this sort of extreme metal landscape players that just really sound different. I know there's a bit of a, people compare him to Dimebag and stuff like that, but he's just taken it in a completely different direction. All these, really interesting melodies and the way he uses string bends and stuff. And I think that the album is really good.
Awesome. How about you, Seth?
I'm back in one of my tech death phases, so lately it's been a lot of Spawn of Possession, and then Flesh Rot. I've been listening to a lot of Naveen Koperweiss.
Yeah.
So Entheos, these guys represent.
Nice.
And a lot of his, like Flesh Rot, the album he did with Johnny Davey, the singer from Job for a Cowboy.
Yeah. Naveen is really something.
He played guitar on the Flesh Rot. He did all the music, and Johnny Davey just came and did vocals for it.
He's an out of the blue ridiculous. Tom just said it. He's a ridiculous musician. He's one of those guys that you're like, what? I thought you were just the drummer and Animals as leaders. It turns out you can do all the things. It actually just pisses me off because guys like that, it's like, where do they come from? You know what I mean? And how come they're not huge? Because he's so clearly freaking mega talented,
Yeah, and then his girlfriend, Cheney Crab, the singer for Entheos, she's a vocal inspiration for me.
Wow.
She the power that she puts into her vocals. I mean, you watch her. She'll do a one take of a cover or something. She did a Dying Fetus cover not too long ago, and it was just like you could tell, man. You could see the veins in her throat. Like she's loud, she's singing. I mean, it's a real thing, and that's what I try to do when I sing. I try to sing I try to scream as loud as possible to get the full effect, And so I've been listening to a lot of that. I'm also super deep into Bjork again. I'm a huge Bjork fan. I really like the structure of her vocal patterns, but the notes she chooses is such a crazy, weird, jazzy sort of thing that I'm just in love with, man. So those are kind of my deals right now.
Yeah, no, that's
and then
great.
A lot of Weston Super Maim stuff. I listen to a lot of Tom's music, man. To be honest, I love it, man. His dad songs, EP or is that a full length?
EP, yeah, 5 songs. Thank you, man.
Okay,
yeah, no, it's wonderful.
So this is good because this is my last question before I do my silly questions. Is with 180 Degree Murder coming out, it comes out on July 16th. Is that correct?
Amazing. Yeah. Well done. Yeah.
I kind of did my research. Are there companion pieces to this? Is there stuff that you're going to sort of slide in and release, immediately with it, or is there stuff that we can reference from the past? Because that's the stuff I don't know about your work, Tom.
So with Weston Super Maim, there's a previous. I won't call it an album. It's like a collection of songs. So basically, up until this EP, I was just recording, the occasional song, like maybe one song every couple of years or something. So I think there's about 8 songs that are on the Bandcamp and on Spotify and stuff, which are just called the collected work. So they're mainly instrumental. It gives you sort of an idea of the journey, I guess, from me starting out recording this stuff to getting close to what we're doing now. I have like a few other projects. So that Seth mentioned Dad Songs, which is another band of mine called All of Space, which is more like a almost pop rock, kind of melodic rock thing. So that was, I released that last year. With Super Maim, there's an album in the works. So that's the next thing that's going to come. We do have a really cool video for the first single from 180 Degree Murder as well, which is going to come, I think, the week after release. That's an interesting piece.
Awesome. When I do the transcriptions and we get it on my webpage, we'll make sure we add the video there too, because
amazing.
I actually did want to ask you about that. We talked about that last time, which nobody knows about, right? Who did all that artwork, the parrot thing, and that, who did all that? I want to know the name.
Yeah, she's called Joy Polloy. So she's a collage artist based in the UK. I knew her. So Seth mentioned the greetings card stuff that I do. So I actually know her through that. So she's a designer. She does greetings cards and just art pieces, just all these amazing surreal collages. And so I was trying to think, how could we sort of represent some aspect of the music visually? And then I thought of her, and she just absolutely nailed every element of it. So to me, it's what the music looks like in art form, essentially.
Yeah. It actually, and it takes the piss out of it too a bit, which is perfect, because it allows you as the listener, if you're not sure about this type of music, to go, okay, so this is kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing, right? Right?
Yeah,
which it's so not, and at the same time, it's
perfect.
It's such right. It messes with the dynamic of what people assume extreme metal is, because they're always wrong. They're just
Exactly.
always wrong. I mean, the listener is always wrong, man. I hate to say it, but they're wrong. It's the artist that's correct.
I mean, I agree. Like to me, part of Weston Super Maim is about being stupid and just having loads of fun and doing things because it's fun or because it's funny or because it's stupid. And so like the parrot.
Yes, there it is.
Yeah.
The parrot Joy, she sent me a few ideas and then she said, "Oh, I've done this one. This is ridiculous. I've done this one as well." And I was like, yes, that's fucking perfect. So yeah, that immediately was correct.
I want that shirt, Tom. I want that shirt.
There's going to be some cool merch. I will hook you up.
Can we get that through the Bandcamp page?
It will be live. It will be live. So depending on when this podcast comes out, I think the first single from the EP is going to drop the week of the 21st of June. So at that point there will be vinyl, CDs, merch orders live. Yeah. So
nice. Well, we'll make sure we get this out before that because I want people to hear this and want people to buy your stuff. Even if they don't listen to the music, even if they don't like the music, the merch is so rad by itself. Like
merch is cool.
Right. And that's only going to motivate people to want to hear it anyway. And I think if they're smart, if they're wise, if they listen to this conversation, they're going to fall in love with you as people because really, Weston Super Maim is you two guys. It's about the person. The music, as important as it is, and as wild as it is, and as almost brutal and painful as it is just kind of a lark from these two guys who happen to just be really cool dudes, right? Just normal, average
Thank
blokes.
you, man.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah. So let's end on some silly questions. Is that cool?
Oh shit!
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first question is for Tom. What do you wish you knew back then?
Oh, good question. I guess for me, it's stick to your guns. So don't doubt yourself. Like even when you're young, you have already spent a long time getting to where you are. So if it's a creative thing, for example, that drive that you have or that conviction to do something, I think you should trust that and pursue that rather than thinking that you should be something else or you should bend to what's popular or the received wisdom or whatever. So yes, stick to your guns.
That's an awesome answer, and it's the right answer.
Yeah, right. Seriously.
Yeah, Seth, what choice would you take back?
Shit, man. What choice would I take back?
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
That's a hard question.
I guess choice would I take back? I would there was a time when I was in place to buy a house. I would have not blown my money on fucking bars and and music and whatever, music gear. I should have invested.
Yeah. That's
I
fair.
guess.
I think all of us
that's a hard one. Yeah, that's a hard one just because I wouldn't be where I am today if I had done that.
Yeah,
It would have been a different journey, If I'm going to be honest with you, I wouldn't have fucking done drugs, I wouldn't have done drugs as in my early 20s and stuff. I wouldn't have fucked around. I would have just kept the straight and narrow path and I think I'd be a lot farther along in life if I hadn't done that.
Yeah, well, I'll just say this: kids, don't do drugs.
Don't do them. Don't do them.
Really stupid. Okay, Tom, your turn. What skill do you wish you learned?
Oh man, fuck.
I know. I'd like to end on a tough one.
Yeah, Rob,
Yeah.
what the hell is this? Oh, we're having a good time.
What the fuck? I don't know. I mean, my initial thought is I wish that I'd learned to play instruments properly because I'm completely self-taught. Like I never had a lesson on anything. So sometimes, I can't do what I want to do on the guitar. I can't do something on the drums. But then at the same time, I don't know if that if that has informed the way that I play, I'm sure it has to some extent. So again, like Seth said, I probably wouldn't be who I was or where I am today if I had learned to play properly, for example. So who knows?
Nice. Now this is a good one for Seth. You're really gonna like this one, Tom. Hey Seth, how do you want to die?
Oh man.
That's a dark question, Rob.
I know, thank you. We're gonna end on fun. Yeah.
Just railing my wife, dude. Just railing the wife. I just want a heart attack while railing the wife. That's how I'd like to die.
Correct answer.
Wow. That is correct. That is correct. All right.
I hate me for saying that, but
no problem. Last question for both of you, and we'll let Seth start this one. Okay. So Seth and then Tom. When do you feel most like a kid again?
I'm such a kid, dude. Like, when I think when I watch like my favorite movies, or something, I'm an adrenaline junkie, so I'm going cliff jumping all the time. I'm doing stupid shit that I hurt myself at. But I don't know. I found this Predator 2 figurine at the grocery store yesterday, for example. I was just walking. I saw like my peripheral vision. I saw the word Predator, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I went over there, and it's like, whoa, look at this fucking figurine.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, put it in the cart. Come on, let's go.
Nice.
And I got home, and I'm like playing with it. And he had the panel you open where he like does the self-destruct. And so I open it up. I'm like, nah, 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 nah. I'm making the noises, and she's looking at me like, look at yourself. You're like a little kid. And I'm like, well, look at this thing, I'm always a little kid, man. Like, I got teenage boys, so I'm always on their level of humor and stuff. So I guess it would be, with all of life, that's when I feel like I'm a kid again.
Yeah, the answer is you're always a kid.
I'm always a fucking kid, man. I'm so immature, dude.
That's great. Tom?
I'm exactly the same. I think we're both just big kids, really, like, very, very old big kids. Like, I just fucking love being stupid. Like, I spend most of my life doing stupid shit, singing stupid songs, like, much to my long-suffering girlfriend's annoyance. Like, I just fucking, I think life, you need to have as much fun as possible. So if you like being stupid, then go for it.
Yeah, awesome. Tom,
well
Seth,
said.
Man, you guys are Weston Super Maim, and you guys are my friends now, and you guys are so badass. And I love the thing we have together as a trio. Maybe we can play some music someday, but I will say this to the listeners, please go check this out. You're going to hear the music in the beginning of this show. You're going to hear it crush the end of your soul at the end. It's all great stuff, but go to the Bandcamp page, make sure you pick it up, get the merch, talk about the band, tell people, because this is something new. It's something familiar, but something new. And guys like us, man, we're rare. We listen to this stuff. We love it. You know what I mean? There's nothing that'll stop us from listening to it. So I can't wait to spread it amongst the masses and get people to pay attention, and hopefully they'll be crazy for it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Rob.
You guys are so badass. Let's stay in touch, and I promise I'll do everything in my power to help you guys pop. Okay?
Absolutely, man. Thank you.
Bro.